What's up, guys? This will be a critique of Quantrell's 7.93 3x3 average of 5. The scrambles will be in the description. And for solve 1, he did white cross, and what he did was start with yellow top and orange front. And as you can see, cross isn't that hard for white, but what he did was R U prime D, which solves this, and then R prime F to solve this. And now he solved these one by one by doing wide U R prime wide U prime, and then L wide U prime L wide U. And that was a very long cross, not very efficient, but it did end up giving the best possible cross plus 2 you can get. So not sure if he planned it or not, but he probably wouldn't have done that if he didn't see at least the first pair. So anyways, he did this pair and then solved this pair, so that was perfectly fine. And then he rotated and did a y2 and then solved this pair like that. From here you can just mirror that and it works fine. Well, not mirror that, but do an LU solution and it works fine. No need to do a y2, but he just did a y2 and then solve it like this. And then next he had this pair, which he rotated for, and actually once you get up to here, instead of just inserting it normally, you can just do sledge and then insert, which is faster. And then here you could actually just do this winter variation like that. But anyways, he just did this, and then OLOL followed by T-perm AUF trick. So the solve was mostly fine except for the y2, and for the end of the last pair, you could just, end of the third pair, you can just do a sledge, and that sets up the fourth pair to be a little bit better. So for the second solve, what he did was rotate this way, so yellow top and orange front, and D prime L D prime R2 for cross. And he might not have seen this in inspection, but you can actually just cancel into first pair. So it would look like that. So just insert this corner, which sets up to this F case. But he didn't do that. And he just did this. And then rotate and solve this into the front right. So instead of solving it into the front right, you could have just realized that you can solve it like that, even without the cancellation. Or you can just rotate and solve it into the back left, which is better than solving it into the front right for look ahead purposes. And it would look like that. But he just rotated this way and solved it like that. And before I go to the rest of the solve, I'll be showing another alternative cross plus 1. And you can just do D prime, U prime, L, solve these three, and then you can just do U D prime, and then R prime, U prime, R prime, so basically an X cross. But he didn't do that, and next he just had this pair, rotate, and solve this like this. And then this pair. And then rotate, solved it like this. And OLOL followed by A prime. So the rest of the solve was fine. And yeah. For the third solve, what he did was x2, y prime, and then for cross, he probably should have done something like d u2 rb prime and then d r2 prime, but he just did d r d r2 prime, and then rotate and then solve this last one like that. And up to here, you can just insert it with F moves like that, but he didn't do that, and he just rotated and did that. And before I show the rest of the solution, I'll just quickly show a triple X cross that you can make. And basically, you might not be at the level where you should be planning triple X crosses, but in this case, it isn't actually that hard. And you just do D R2 prime, and you just insert this pair, cancel into this pair, and then here you can just do that. So just insert this cross edge and then cancel into a hedge, and now you have your triple X cross done. But anyways, he didn't do that, and just here you did a U3, So just a bit of hesitating, and then U3. From here you can just solve it rotationless by doing that. But he just did a U3 and then rotate here. And then here he did YU and then YY prime, so more hesitations. From here you can just solve it with RU, but he rotated this way and then rotated back. So it's more of a mistake than not knowing the better solution to do. And next he just did a Y prime U3, so another hesitation. Here he solved this pair like that, and it's probably better to just do keyhole, like something like this. But it might have just once again been a mistake because he did a lot of redundant stuff in that solve. And then next he just had this pair, which he solved like that, and that's fine. And next he just had OLAL and a JPerm. So yeah, that was the third solve. Solve number 4. Start with yellow top, red front, and what he did was U, F2, and then insert this RUR prime, and then D2. And now you have an X cross. So it was a pretty efficient X cross. But something to note is at the end you can just do YG2 prime like that instead of doing a D2, because it will solve it into the back left, which is helpful. But he just did D2, and then next what he did was U2 solve this pair, which is a good choice, but this pair is probably it'll probably make F12 easier because you don't have diagonal slots. But he just did this pair, which is fine, honestly. And then this pair, he did U2, pair up, and then insert. There's a slightly better way to do it, which is just put it over, instead of doing U2 and then L prime U prime L, you can just do U prime L prime U2L, and then do that. And this one is 6 moves, but he just did a U2, solve it like that. And then next he had this, which he did with rotate, and then do the BLE. It's a pretty easy to recognize BLE. Not sure if you actually recognized it or not, but it is the better thing to do in this case. And next he just had PLL, which he did with U, RUS, U perm, and then another U. So I guess you can do that if you want, because it is pretty fast, but I only use RUS U perm when it skips one of the AUFs. But anyways, yeah, that was the 4th solve. For the final solve of the average, what he did was X2 Y prime, so white cross again, and he just did R prime F prime L, and then F2 R2 B2. So the cross is fine. And then next pair he just had this pair, and then here just solved this pair, which is fine. And then up to here he did U2, pair this up, and then rotate like that. Up to here, instead of doing that, you can just do F L U L prime F prime, which is a better solution. Or you could just do F L U L prime and then cancel into an F2 gen F prime case. Here you can just do something like that. But anyways, he just did it normally by pairing it up and then rotating and inserting. But this did give him a free pair, and just inserted that one. And here he had OLAL and PLL. So the rest of the solve was fine. And yeah, thanks for watching. So general tips is just to learn more F12 algs and try to plan cross +1 more, because I see that you hesitated a lot and might not have planned it on all of these solves. And you should learn some better cross techniques. So instead of rotating for cross, you should try just solving rotationlessly. And for stuff like this, for example, just instead of rotating, you can just do F prime L F, and then there are a lot of other cross tricks that you should be using. So yeah, thanks for watching.